Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless it's a flat earth nation in the golden ages past. And if they disagree, tell them you know some people that are looking for a debate, and they'll do it in a fair and honest way. I want to welcome my good friend Randy from Wisconsin. How you doing, brother?
Good morning to another day where the blessings are renewed.
Amen. I feel like it's been a productive morning for me. Uh, while I was waiting to touch base with Randy, I wrote this down. I might as well get it out of the way. It's only one page. I asked my friends, listeners, and learners, where is this whole thing called 2020 hindsight? We used to say, if I only knew then what I know now, but they'd be vague about what they would actually do if that time travel pipe dream came true. When I personally used the aforementioned quote, I had in mind investing. If I only knew now what I knew then, I would invest better. It wasn't until I was 27 years old, that's when I was taught that time travel was for gambling. It was how to make money off of gambling. If you knew what the outcome was going to be, you could bet on it. So it's faster than doing the investing thing. So
Sure.
hindsight from a biblical lens is ready. So let's see what I have, Randy. That's what I wrote. What have you got on your head there, man? What's going on there? It says fishers of men. I can see that
It's
much.
game day ragware. Sea of
Game
Galilee.
day.
Fishers of men. Lives are on the line.
So when you do the fishers of men, you don't want to use a mouse trap unless it's one of those, no kill mouse traps. When we use fishers of men,
Yeah, a live trap. Yeah.
you got to be careful. Sometimes it might be better to catch them in a net, because that's spear fishing, and then wanting to teach the gospel. I don't know. Jesus brings them back to life. I don't know how that worked. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, don't shake them off the hook. Once you reel them, don't shake them off the hook.
Invite everybody to, if you didn't see the episode last night that Randy and I did, invite you tying together history. We're going to just, these are pretty much going to be new tabs here at the start. And we might end up on a review. But anyway, like I said, I feel very productive. Oh, it would help if I do that whole get ready to share the screen thing instead of just thinking I can just use my mind and it'll be ready to share. No problem. Here we go. First thing we're going to look at is Revelation 14. Okay. Yeah, because Randy, we got to get a grip on this whole the reaping. Because, when we talk about Armageddon being over, there's some astute people out there that we, should be questioning, well, then what about the reaping? What about that? The reaping. Put in your sickle and reap, because after the 1,000 years, they get reaped. How many people get reaped, Randy?
Huh. Well, yeah, there's a harvest, and, the fields were ready.
Am I looking at the right one? Is it Revelation 14 that has that? Or did I jump off it? Here's the right harvest. It's 14, verses 14 through 20. Two images at the end of this chapter are different in forms. One, and it shows in parentheses, Joel 13:13. Hey, that's
3:13.
the traditional eschatological image of harvest, the grain harvest, and the vintage, that's the grapes of the vintage, to follow the messages that the angels have given for the nations of the opportunity to respond to the witness of the martyrs in repentance, Revelation 14, verse 7, or to face the judgment of God, verses 9 through 11. Is it that easy? That sounds easy.
Well, yeah, in the parable that we're familiar with, the tares, the weeds would be, taken first, thrown in the fire, and then the wheat would be taken to the barn. It's a two harvest,
Yeah.
but
That weed's got to get
but they were taken, to be
separated.
taken first,
Yeah.
probably because it's a larger harvest,
Hopefully.
Well, no, I mean, it's not hope, just that's the facts. More aren't going to make it to the barn,
Right.
they go to the fire. And then the smaller harvest is taken to the barn. It's just the
So
way it is.
fear God and give him glory because the hour of his judgment has come. That's just picking up in the middle of verse 7. And worship him, it continues, who made heaven and earth, the sea, and the springs of water. Another angel, a second angel, followed, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon, the great. She who made all nations drink the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality, passion, wrath. People got the wrong impression of what the Greek word, of passion really is. It's a form of suffering. And that's what sexual immorality does in the long run, people. I'm going to go right down to this third angel thing because I'm not even going to get into the fact that this is where the Seventh-day Adventists get their whole three angels thing from this chapter.
Yeah, it's an enticement where you volunteer to participate. That the whole, as far as who made the nations drink, it's an enticement where you volunteer to participate.
Yeah. To the Queen of Heaven, more than likely. So here we're going to talk about the third angel in verse 9. It followed them, saying in loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, these worshipers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Christ. That doesn't start in our generation because we think the rapture's happening. And I heard, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Blessed indeed, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their deeds follow them. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and seated on the cloud, one like the Son of Man, with a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. And another angel came out of the temple, calling with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe. So he sat on the cloud, swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. Wow. Any comment, Randy? Because we're not done reaping yet. Not really.
Yeah, this is a work in progress at that time. Sure.
Verse 17 starts off. Then another angel came out of that same temple in heaven. This other angel he too, there's two O's there. So that means he also had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over the fire. Oh boy. And he called with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle. Put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. So the angel swung his sickle across the earth and gathered the grape harvest of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and the blood flowed from the winepress as high as a horse's bridle for 1,600 stadia. That's a lot. That's about 184 miles. You know what? It must have got mixed in with the river there and just really messed it up. Go ahead, Randy. Before we move on, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, it's difficult to imagine. Yeah, the juice from the press. Yeah.
Should we allow for another? So we have whatever caused the earth to be voided. We have Noah's flood, Armageddon, and the reaping. That seems pretty dramatic. Population reduction. We have our current end times, the last eon, the last era, the last whatever we got going here. That about sums it up. We're ready to move on, you think?
Sure. A
I think
recap.
so. Yeah. So let's see where we're at. Revelation 14:15. I got that pulled up. Good thing I pulled these up I don't know where we're going here. And another angel came out of the temple, calling with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe. And so in verse 16, we're going to look up.
Yeah.
Who is that?
That would be prime time.
Right. And here it's not just and swung, the one sitting on the cloud it bracketed as the one, it says hope. Which being interpreted, the gift that Moses commanded. There's nothing concealed. There are no secrets really in this world. Right, Randy? Nothing's covered that is concealed that will not be revealed. So people, you can forget about all that. It's another good reason to try to minimize that. Those tears.
Singular, not plural. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a good way to minimize those tears that are going to get wiped away in heaven is just be better on earth. Be better. Try. If there's any way that anybody out there, you included, Randy, goes, hey, Paco, this is a good way you could be better. I shouldn't go like, well, who are you? I should go like, oh boy, yay, I get to be better. So I don't get it. That man shall speak, because I'm looking for, what are they emphasizing the one sitting? Well, probably because of where he's sitting. Enthroned. 16 out of the 91 people who were sitting in darkness. This guy is sitting on the right hand. The man Christ Jesus, he will be glorified. He will be magnified. There's no way for the words to describe what he deserves. in his glorification. The one who used to sit and beg, he will come seated on a donkey. So it means, like, I think established more of lesser, prophesied ahead of time. I don't, or is it just sitting down somewhere? I am seated, enthroned, I dwell, reside. We got to move on, Randy. We got too much. Joel 3:13. Oh, I did look it up. Good. Was hoping, but I never know. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Go in, tread, for the winepress is full, the vats overflow, for their evil is great. So, what are they saying there? The vats overflow, their evil are great. They're putting in even the righteous, their evil is great. What is going on, Randy? I don't know.
Yeah, it's parallel to the Revelation. It's a little more condensed, but it's all there. What Joel was prophesying.
That's right. We're looking at Joel. Just seems like Revelation. Huh. We should get that into better context. Let's start at chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim this among the nations, consecrate for war, stir up the Nephilim, the giants. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Glad we don't live in those days. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am a warrior. Hasten and come, all you surrounding nations, and gather yourself there. Bring down your warriors, O Lord. Let the nations stir themselves up and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the surrounding nations. Put in your sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Go in and tread, for the winepress is full. The vats overflow, for their evil is great. Multitude in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. The Lord roars from Zion and utters his voice from Jerusalem. The heavens and the earth quake, but the Lord is a refuge for his people, a stronghold to the people of Israel. Wow, okay.
So this is by no means anything that's done just on, spontaneous. Look at the preparations that was required for this, pounding their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks,
right. It's that whole day of the Lord thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying it took them, because they're evil, to prepare with all their evilness. And as far as the Armageddon, that's preparation.
Here's what Jesus told them to prepare for indirectly through the apostle Peter in Acts chapter 2. This was what was spoken of by the prophet Joel, that in that generation, when this happens and your spirit's poured out and all that speaking in other tongues thing, this is what they had to prepare for. And we see the gospel went to all the nations. They had an impact. Ones that didn't take the mark of the beast still had, this is what they avoided. That was in the blessed first resurrection. Give me a second here, Randy. This is what they avoided. The fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, the army that's of destruction. But behind them a desolate wilderness, because that's what they've made it. And nothing escapes them. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, And like war horses, they run, as with the rumbling of chariots, they leap on the top of the mountains. Like the crackling of a flame of fire devouring the stubble, like a powerful army drawn up for battle. Before them, people are in anguish. All faces grow pale. Like warriors, they charge. Like soldiers, they scale the wall. They march each on his way. They do not swerve from their paths. They do not jostle one another. Each marches in his path. They burst through the weapons and are not halted. They leap upon the city. They run upon the walls. They're talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. They climb up into the mountains. They enter through the windows like a thief. The earth quakes before them. The heavens rumble. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. The Lord utters his voice before his army, for his camp is exceedingly great. He who executes his word is powerful. For the day of the Lord is great and very awesome. Who can endure it? Randy, tell him. Who can endure
Oh,
it?
it's like an unimaginable army of locusts.
Yeah.
Is like that.
And they're mad. They're
Well,
mad.
they're there to serve a purpose.
Still another angel who had power to destroy with fire came out from the altar, the angel who had authority over the fire, and he called with a loud voice to the one with the sharp sickle, put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. Authority over the fire. Any comments on that, Randy? I mean, that's, whew.
Yeah, it's a fairly vivid. If you're gonna produce some sort of animation of what it's describing, yeah, you could work on your creativity, I suppose, for
I
trying
guess
to
in my
depict it.
mind, I'm picturing an angel giving somebody something like a business card, going, like, "Hi, I'm the angel of fire. If you need anything, I'm
And
here
there'd be
for you."
plenty of contrast in the colors too. It would be very vivid. There should be.
What's this all about? I must have
From
this
outer
pulled up
space?
for a reason.
Complex web are 17th century forts, smugglers' tunnels, and dens of vice. An unseen subterranean maze beneath one of the world's most important cities. In the roaring 1920s, a different kind of underworld emerged. No town partied like New York City, from its exclusive downtown restaurants to its uptown jazz clubs. The only problem was, most of it was illegal. In January
Uh-oh.
1920, the federal ban on alcohol took effect. Prohibition put the nation's bars and saloons out
Oh
of
man,
business.
that's terrible.
The ban only sent the
It's
Highlanders
only illegal if you get caught,
in just
Oh, is
5
that the
years,
deal?
up to 100,000
I
speakeasies
believe. Yeah, I
opened
think
all over
that's what it was.
most owned and operated by the mob.
Uh-oh.
Midtown Manhattan became the
It's owned and operated by the mob.
The mafia?
Yeah, secret societies. Why this
Okay.
mouse is driving me crazy?
secret gathering spot for New York's high society to get a drink.
This is 52nd Street in Manhattan. Today it's Rockefeller Center. But back in the days of Prohibition, this was one speakeasy after another. Swing Street, they call it, or the wettest street in New York.
So I'm using this for fair use and stuff, but that's not where it, oh, here it is. Here it is. So they're going to claim that the mobsters and the Freemasons and secret societies, because of prohibitions in the 1930s, built these starport type tunnels with these secret doors, Randy. Are you ready for that lie?
Probably not.
Oh man, how cool is that? Wow, that's a whole brick wall, and it's hiding all of their illegal liquor. Yeah, the mob built that, not Starport people, Randy.
It's like a bank vault.
Right, this was their last line of defense that's showing you that the mobsters built this Starport. Boom. So I don't believe them. I did have some pictures. I thought I took one of that wine cellar. Oh, well, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I doubt if they had the ability to build it, but they had the presence of mind to repurpose it.
Right. I mean, look at this. Okay, so yeah, you did that, you mobsters. But these are just some of the life of a sandhog. What's that?
Every day, cranes and winches lower enormous drills, bulldozers, and buckets filled with 3,000 pounds of rock over their heads. Rocks fall, tunnels flood, and because sandhogs dig so deep, they face another threat, the bends. During their first project laying the foundations of the Brooklyn Bridge, 27 sandhogs died.
Yeah, that's in the 1890s, digging that far down to find the foundation.
Bedrock.
Yeah, bedrock. Hey, is that Che Guevara? I thought I saw Che Guevara.
Society, the Freemasons, laid the foundations of the world's oldest subway station. Since building a train tunnel in 1844 underground was a huge project that took money and political clout, the Freemasons were the only ones who could pull it off.
It looked like Che Guevara there. They subliminally flashed his image.
Named Bob Diamond unearthed the tunnel and its secrets. Right here? He was going to show me his amazing discovery, but first we had to stop.
I got a list of tunnels here. Couldn't find much about the Ravenswood Tunnel. I wanted to show you something. This was the first tunnel under the East River. So maybe I found something about it. I don't know. Here's some other ones. 1915. Look at all their tunnels. Seem relatively old, except this one. And I wonder if that's a remake. 1910. You know, no description, no comments. Brooklyn Bridge Tunnel. All the 4 underground road tunnels were built by the same cardboard cutout named Ole Knudsen Singstrad. He was a Norwegian-American civil engineer, best known for his work on the underworld vehicular tunnels in New York, so they could get those cars there. He did it. Holland's tunnel original chief engineer died, so did his successor. So goodbye, Clifford Milburn Holland and his successor, Milton Freeman. Singstrad then finished him up, knocked him out in a heartbeat, no problem. When we're the 1920s, roaring 20s. And at some of these other bridges, these are worth looking at too. These are bridges in New York. Some of them go back. I wanted to show you some of the early ones. Something struck me about it. 7 lanes, 1953. 4 lanes, 1908. Four lanes, 1926. Five lanes, 1898. 4 lanes, 1910. Okay. So they're getting bigger. The later they go back. I saw some that were 7 lanes in 1909, right here. 8 lanes in 4 lanes in each direction in 1903. That's a forward looking and forward planning. 9 lanes in 1909. That's pretty crazy. So anyway, I couldn't find much about that first tunnel, but I did find this, that supposedly the first tunnel, now this is only under the East River. They had other tunnels under the other side, because of, the way Manhattan is situated. So this looks like a stock photo to me. Metal line section through soft ground that might have delayed that area. When's the last time you traveled through a tunnel into Manhattan? Perhaps it was during your subway ride to work, on a train from Penn Station, or even a taxi. But they're saying prior to the 1900s, only one tunnel existed. What about the beach tunnel? We'll look at that. In 1892, by the East River Gas Company to supply gas to Manhattan. Guess what, Randy? Still used
Still
today.
in use.
Yeah, still in use today. Probably because it'd be too hard and too expensive to even dream of in the situation, claiming to be an unlined rock section. We saw a metal lined rock section. Something 600-ton steel driven shield bore the horizontal tunnel. Small tram cars removed the excess dirt, the excavations. So that's interesting. Sunday morning, good day to worship. You know what this guy said to me in a comment I didn't respond to yesterday? He disagreed. He watched one of my old videos and got his undies in a bunch and wrote me and said, "We worship the Sabbath because of what the Tanakh says," or something like that. Not the Talmud. We like the Torah. Do you even know the difference between the Talmud and the Torah? Like, wow. So I guess I still have that on my mind. That it's like he didn't even bother to even like look at any other videos because he'd be like, "Oh, this guy's so stupid." So anyway, here's this invention of a subway. These guys are saying, Beaches, he got a charter in 1868. He attempted to build a subway in New York, which would have linked New York City to Grand Central Station. He was using pneumatics. Did he ever get it off the ground? This is the founder and author of whatever is that famous Smithsonian Magazine or Scientific American or whatever it is. He's a famous magazine, Scientific American. This company, he's famous for doing that. So when did he get that done? Because he made tunnels in New York. He was famous for it. Here's something about Tammany Hall. Look at that. There's that Phrygian cap. Put up his own money and bankrolled a project because he was going to do it. So he demonstrated a passenger railway underground in 1870. That's way ahead of what they call the first tunnel. There's a diagram of it from 1866 where they used pneumatic cars for mail and package delivery. That's pretty cool. That was patented anyway in 1866. Pretty good idea. I like using compressed air. Sounds good. I've shown this before. This is one of the first things that blew me away back in 2016 when I started making these videos under the channel.
So question here.
Good.
So where are these air compressors that's supplying the energy? How, where's that detail in that conception drawing? Or
What Randy's basically asking is how do they compress that air and then poof, let her go. Let's see if we can find some, track it down with some bloodhound pictures.
because
Oh, no,
anyone
these tunnels just
familiar
seem
with
really good.
compressing air,
Here's the pneumatic dispatch. They're gonna shoot it out around the corner. Maybe that's a, there it goes. What's this? The Beach Automatic Postal Delivery Box. Taking letters from the lamp post. Huh. Cool. We're looking for how you did it. How did you compress the air? Plan. Wow. These are what they were going to do. And I think eventually they did have a lot of those pneumatic tubes. Huh.
because today's technology will tell you need screw compressors, and they, you use it for refrigeration, not just compressing atmosphere air, but even to to compress gases into liquid or whatever. It's quite the technologies, but back then, to compress that much air to that volume, it would be extreme.
Yeah. It would seems like it might require steam power almost. So why not? I mean,
Well, yeah, that may be it. The dry, superheated, yeah, water, steam, yeah.
see when they got invented. What was the big deal on that? In the late 1800s, pneumatic tube networks gained acceptance in offices that needed, small, urgent packages like mail, paperwork, money. Would you like to be the first one to test your money? Still used around the United States. The pneumatic transportation was invented in 1799. First used in the Victorian era. That's right before, it says here, from 1837 to 1901, followed by the short-lived Edwardian, up until World War I. Stock exchange used it, electrical telegraph. Looks like it might have been Great Britain that we copied this one from, or they figured out how to use it first. Pneumatic tubes and Mission Control Center. I've been there, Randy. I've seen that view. I took my kids there so I could show them the American history. Linking the London Stock Exchange, 220 yards. Okay. (1866), 467 kilometers of total length. Wow. From 1934. They used it until 1984. Okay. Wow.
50 years.
And a lot of mileage. Here's a 1.7 in 1844. 1.7 miles. Dublin. Hey, he even got a picture of Eli Beach's thing. Where's his machine? Where's the producer of the power? They probably found this too. These pneumatic systems, they probably found the whole thing, Randy.
Yeah, more than likely, right.
They never dug these tunnels or invented pneumatic tubes. You give me 147 kilometers or something of underground tubes in London. Way to go, you guys.
Yeah, they may have had an ability to duplicate, but unlikely
Remember they
that
mentioned that, you know, he had to do it on his own with his own money because he couldn't get permission from Tammany Hall. We've covered them before. Time to get a little refresher on that secret society of mobsters running the city as tightly as Chicago's Irish mob ran Chicago. Tammany Hall, a Columbian order, incorporated way back in 1786, was a political machine that helped the Democratic Party. You know, that's whatever evolved into the Democratic Party. Their big deal was that political patronage. That's the opposite of what we studied last night about jobs by merit. No, patronage is jobs by privilege and bribery. Arts patronage is the same thing, where you pay people that this is your famous artist and he gets all the work, you know, designs all the buildings. But we'll just look a little bit at the pictures of Tammany Hall. There's the fringed Phrygian cap, if that means anything. I don't know what that means. They say that the tassels on the flag and the gold fringe on the flag means something different. And if you add the
like a
added
corporation.
blue background and stars, we've got something that might mean, I don't know. I'm just very suspicious of these guys. Go ahead, Randy.
Fascism.
Admiralty law. Speculation is welcome. So we got that picture. Hey, there's a cartoon depicting Tammany Hall in a Roman Colosseum. You know, I can't read that, what's on the collar. But it's a Tammany Hall thing. There's Boss Tweed, a picked on Irishman from New York City. You know, all the Irish got picked on back then. Well, this guy was called Bill the Boss Tweed. Bill the Boss Tweed and the Tammany Ring, blaming everybody else. Oops, I missed one. 1893 cartoon referencing the Irish Mafia political gang, Tammany Hall, pictured as a tiger. Lots
That's
of
not
hunters after
Tony
a very
the Tiger.
tiger. Go ahead, Randy. Can you say that again?
That's not Tony the Tiger. That's familiar on the Frosted Flakes box, is it? It got beat up or something?
No, I think they're trying to depict that, oh, New York City as a Democratic town or over. I would beg to differ. I'd say that Tiger made it. Let's see what some of these things says. National democracy was coming for. Can't read it, can't read them.
So it's not a Republican stampede.
Yeah, it looks like they're coming after him in New York City. Didn't happen. Tony the Tiger.
You're great.
So, and again, the interior view of Tammany Hall claimed a mud flood building from the Golden Age past, because they surely didn't build this building so that they could have a national convention in 1868. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Tammany Hall and the mafia control the world. Caricature of politicians and people representing different professions revolving around the head of Richard Boss Croker. Well, this is after Boss Tweed. And what, when you're the mob, you get what you want. People say, like, we need you to help me because the Irish, they're picking on us. That's what they like to go. They're picking on us. Tammany Hall. They got a pretty big ballroom in there. Thought you'd like to see that. Hey, Randy, I had, woke up at about 4:30, finished writing this sermon and getting it all lined up by 7, had time to see what was in my algorithm. Check this out.
Tell us why you're being baptized tonight.
Hi, I'm Crystal, and I just know that God is calling me to be a warrior for his animal kingdom, and that I'm to lead an army of angels to protect animals across the world. And I just know I can't do it without God.
Come on, give Crystal a round of applause.
Randy,
Yeah.
who could?
Who could do
lead an
anything?
army?
Yeah, when it comes to success, to think you're going to do anything without God and his will, yeah, I think you're being deceived for sure.
All right, pressure's on now. Give me an answer. What's the odds of her ever leading an army of angels?
You mean without God? that probably would never happen.
Let's
Zero.
see what else. Everything else is a bonus
That'd be
after
zero.
this. I got this pulled up. Oh, this is Bible. Guess I was hearing about Revelation this morning while I was having my coffee. Wanted to make a clarification that union busting, my dad was not one of these union busters that would be escorted in by the guards. My dad was one of the workers that would be trying to keep these people out. That's what I meant by strike busting, union busting. They're two different things. I think I was confused. I don't think my dad would want to be associated with the union busting from the owner's point of view when they hired thugs and the Pinkertons to escort people in to do the jobs of people because they thought their slave wages were too low. Cartoon depicting the AFL as the fly on the wheel, whatever that means, with a manufacturer shouldering the wheel on the path of industrial betterment. That's all they wanted was some good. If the government could protect them, then the businesses and the government could work together for everybody to be happier, industrial betterment. That's cool. Hey, here's something I didn't know. Scabs. That's what they called people that walked the union and took the job of, somebody could be so starving, they would work for 50 cents a day, but they'd have to take the job of somebody working for $1 a day. And that was already slave wages that could barely feed their family. And so they would think, well, I should kill the person that's going to work for 50 cents an hour because he's taking food off my table. what would Donald Trump say to that? I mean, or what would a conservative capitalist say to that?
Well, when you're desperate, yeah, I think there may be a spiral to the bottom, but then once you get there, there's only one direction. Once you get to the bottom, but
Yeah,
if you should be fortunate to move at all from the bottom, it's just if you do, it's I mean laterally you can go sideways, but yeah, the other direction would be up.
it takes the Lord, like for me to have made $1 million and retired, at age 55 would have been impossible without being hedged in like Job by God Almighty, where everything fell into my lap. And now the last 10 years has been realized that was a waste of time gathering all of that. Anyway, don't scab. It's been yelling at you from the screen. Join the union of your class, the International Workers of the World, IWW. Whenever you speed up or work long hours on the job, you're being disloyal. You're scabbing on the unemployed. Now, that might be taking it too far. That's what I think is probably taking it too far. I'm all for, I want to help feed the poor, Andy. But I don't want to be told that, that if I do what's their definition of speed up? Or what if what if like a lot of most of my career I was on salary,
Well, yeah, if you're young enough,
Hey,
if you're young enough and have the endurance and you can, perform more than the older individual that, is still in the same job, I think, are you better off working them extra hours and putting out more output and then pay more in taxes? Or should you just work your 40 hours faithfully without, I guess, exceeding what the expectation should be, and then let someone else pick up, you know, the additional workload?
that's
I mean, there's different ways of skinning that cat.
right. I was thinking of my young, because when I talk about baling hay, walking beans, detasseling corn, all the things that someone raised on a farm would do, to
Sure.
me, it I can't tell you how ridiculous it would have been for someone like, let's say, one of the big farmers around that would have hired me, let's say a Lowry, that's the name of one of the families, and they were going like, well, young Mr. Hughes, you worked 8 hours, your day is finished, you know, but if you stick around for a couple more hours so we can finish this off, instead of giving you $4.50 an hour, I'll give you $7 an hour for the last couple. I'm in. I'm already there. His wife gives me sandwiches and things to drink whenever I'm hungry. Let's do it. I'll be making more money. Am I scabbing? Was I scabbing?
Well, what about the vineyard worker that brings, as many workers as he's able throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, he just pays everybody the same amount, regardless of the length of the day.
It's
You've heard of that
biblical.
one.
Those things that you get a contract. You do what you do. You work for the best of your talents, and then at the end of the day, you decide if you want to play cards. You go do it by the gate. That way, if the master comes back, you're ready. You're ready.
Yep.
So we've got some political talk going on here. I do not support Trump, but I heard he fired contractors that were not performing their contracts, and then they claimed they were being shafted. But the world's a stage, who knows? But Rolly R always seems kind of like intuitively, I want to think that's probably a true statement, you know. All right, let's go. Oh man, let's go where? Don't scab. Am I sharing, Randy?
Yep, you're
There's
sharing.
another one here. Jack London, a prop up of the Kabbalah believing, Theolema endorsing Aleister Crowley. He describes a non-union worker that's somebody that would have said, you know what, I'm not going to work on your farm one more hour than I have to, go hire some more people. Here's what it says. Here's what Jack London, the propped up author, after God had finished the rattlesnake, the toad, and the vampire, he had some awful substance left with which he made a scab. A scab is a two-legged animal with a corkscrew soul, a waterlogged brain, and a combination backbone made of jelly and glue. Where others have a heart, he carries a tumor of rotten principles. A strike breaker is a traitor to his God, his country, his family, and his class. Wow. Wow. So this is what strike breakers are. Usually individuals who were not employed by the company before the trade union dispute, but hired after or during the strike to keep the organization running. Strike breakers may also refer to workers who cross picket lines to work. But that's a right that's gone away, right, Randy? I mean, most people can't just go on strike. I mean, not in today's market.
Not
Go ahead, Randy.
indefinitely. Yeah, not indefinitely. That the hope there is, this hurts you more than it's gonna hurt me, but everyone gets hurt, certainly, and that's just it.
None
Yeah,
of the
I can feel your pain and you can feel mine, but yeah, you're gonna suffer.
now I didn't, the warehouses I managed or designed, because I'm the fact that was the only person that I know got a letter of recommendation after we designed the warehouse for Learjet Bombardier. I'm happy with that, but we never had unions. Was the Del Monte a union company? Did you ever have any strike
Well,
there?
with
I mean,
Bombardier, you're talking a Canadian company, I believe.
right, but Learjet had its main hub, its main distribution hubs for its warehousing supply are in Berlin and Chicago, Des Plaines, Illinois. And we were doing some improving on it that they were going to do, replicate in Berlin from 2010 into 2011 was my last big consulting job. So
Yeah, when it comes to worldwide marketing,
yeah,
and
what
you
was I
have, well, I probably get off the path here. When government and corporations are sharing the same bed, and trying to manipulate markets, I mean, when you look at the size of our government here in the United States, the federal government particularly, how many employees that are participate, they're all compartmentalized. They need to create a cash flow, but the only way they make real money is by sharing the same bed, is where I'm getting at. and then trying to do it, with a fake, currency, or when it comes to what would be a legitimate trade, hour labor, bang for the buck. Yeah, they can only do it with smoke and mirrors, and it's a pyramid that seems to have lost its foundation. It's crumbling.
You know what I would do right now if they invited me to the Bilderbergers or something like that, and if I was super evil, I would tell people to bring back the company store, and that Amazon and some of the big companies should start saying half your pay is going to be used where you have with Amazon dollars. So you have to buy your food from Amazon. You have to spend at least half your pay because we know you're going to need this stuff anyway. And it's only going to help support you in the long run. I would want to be on record of being the first person saying, bring back the company store, because we're not evil enough yet.
Yeah. We need more monopolies.
Unfortunately, some of these things I spout off on, they
Because
do.
who needs
They talk to me, they go like,
competition?
that's a good idea. That's just like
Who needs
Brian Dorsman
competition?
and all of these other guys out there, like Max Egan, the Christian versions of it. When I first was explaining how the blood was and the heart and the ganglion nerves stored the gold, and that's what the Nephilims were. Oh my goodness, those guys just went completely nuts. All of a sudden, they were golden Nephilim centric, and they haven't got off of it yet. I wonder if I could even jump the line. I'm going to jump the line on one of the. I'm going to go out of order in the tabs. I'm not sharing, am I?
Not yet, but I figured you were searching.
Yeah. So these guys have this deal to where they're so into the rapture and everything and the apocryphas that even this, what they're calling this recent hurricane, Otis, is a dry hurricane that actually spun up in the ocean, but there was a remarkable lack of rain, and it hit Acapulco. And you know why it hit Acapulco?
And by the time it gets up to Puerto Vallarta, Cabo, it can be a massive hurricane, but rarely in Acapulco. So this has defied everything we know about hurricanes in every single way, including the speed. I should point out that the tracking of it was quite incredible. It tracked beeline right for not only Acapulco, but I have to point this out. You've had Max Egan on as a guest on your show. Max Egan is one of the more outspoken people about weather weapons and against the government in general. And we have a number of those people speak out in Acapulco. I've spoken about it myself. Max actually tracked the exact tracking of the hurricane where it first touched landfall. It was at Max Egan's house, right behind Max Egan's house.
There you go.
So now he has to move to another neighborhood, or what? Or where was he going with this? Yuck, yuck, yuck. They know where they know where you are, and they're able to find you.
And if you're as important of an exposer of the truth as Max Egan,
you're
they will
wearing a
send
target.
a once in a century hurricane directly to your house, because he's going to warn everybody about how we need the Apocrypha to understand that Armageddon's coming. Oh no, it might be the aliens, but it's not.
Yeah.
So you have any comments, or are you speechless?
Well, no, everyone has an opinion, I guess, and your opinions can't be wrong because it's an opinion. But thoughts do have consequences in the end. And then some maybe receive rewards. Again, it's a seesaw that
Stage, that whole, it's not going to be a rapture, it's going to be a rupture. I might steal that from you. That might be in my lingo in the future. I like it.
Sure.
I'm skipping it. Just wanted to review last night. We went over the unbelievable coincidences of the fact that, this operation, started, on August 6th when they were dropping the first atomic weapon on Japan, hypothetically, ended when they started this invasion of Japan, because in my world, based on 2020 hindsight, Japan was going to win the worldwide game of Risk. And it was played based on Darwinism and eugenics, and that really upset them. They saw it coming. This Tehran conference in 1943, followed up by the Yalta conference in 1945, that left out Chiang Kai-shek, and it became the Big Three instead of the Big Four, set the tone that the war was ending. Germany was going to be coming in, standing back. The United States was going to stand back, and the communists were going to be put in charge in China. The 1951 statement by the United Nations statement declared there is no evidence for the existence of the so-called pure races and no biological justification for prohibiting intermarriage between persons of different races. So that's, what they want to consider delineation points. I'm struggling for a word that you just don't want to you don't want to spring words on people. But I don't know. So anyway, this UN director turned out to later be Darwin's bulldog. His name, Julian Huxley, that's what it is. He ended up in charge of it. I may have something about that. Genocide justification. Some people justify genocide. Examples of genocide justification include Turkish nationals' claim in regard to the Armenian genocide, the Nazis' justification behind the Holocaust, and the Tutsi, that's the Rwandan thing, during the Rwandan. And there are people that go like, well, that's not how the Germans aren't always like that, or the Rwandans aren't always like that. We should kind of overlook it and move on and just be sorry about that genocide. So there are people that explain it away. I mean, the French Revolution was a genocide massacre encouraged by Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin based on the success of their revolution in the United States. They took their Fergie cat, Rosicrucian loving closet Catholicism to France and justified set up the French Revolution, and they did it. It's just been genocide after genocide. Whatever we've been trying isn't working. The like an AI, Einsteingruppen. I didn't realize this was such a long thing. They were an organization of death squads in Nazi Germany. You see, what they're trying to do when they rewrite history is, and I'm using the Nazis as examples, but they do it with them all. If they're white, they'll change it. Like, everything evil done in World War II was done by the SS. The Einsteingruppen, just killed these people here. You know, they had them when they went into Poland. You know, we gotta kill those people because this is supposed to be his family, and he's about to get it next. They just had to reload or something, or
Yeah, it's a horror that never should be repeated once it's been exposed, but they just go on repeating it.
we sure do. Right. And they do it by kind of the myth of the lost cause, that, you know, the Confederate soldiers fought an honorable, clean fight. They were just misinformed. The Wehrmacht, the average German soldier from World War I to World War II, are not like those beasts in the SS. The German was, you know, has been painted as like highly respectable in the long run. It was, you know, they just got sucked into what they were sucked into, and in the long run, you know, they just got sucked in. Well, we could get sucked in because we're all born in sin and all have desperately wicked hearts. I'm just saying that this was an interesting read and led to some other footnotes at the end of it that does tie it into how they used it on the German lost cause. And it has to be noted, the length of this, you know, and even the president, Eisenhower, who defeated the Nazis, later had to, you know, soften his term and say that, you know, the average German, you know, soldier was not bad, you know, it was just an SS. So again, look how long this is before it gets to the similarities of the Confederacy. If they do.
But yeah, it's another, you know, just breaking treaties, like you were saying, what the veterans from World War I, what they wanted, you know, what had been agreed upon for entitlements, you know, they pulled them away from them.
Right. Yeah. And I know myself is that I know my entitlements or my deservitude, because believe me, they owe me more than they'll ever repay me. But still, I know that I'm getting a retirement right now, and people younger than me are not. The money won't be there. Should I not be taking it? It's not going to affect the fact that they'll still be broke whether I accept my pension or not.
Yep.
You know, I've been interested in Estonia here since I met Arturo, who's engaged to a girl for 10 years from Estonia. Been there to visit her a number of times. But did you know during World War II, Estonia, they didn't like Russia. Estonia is part of Russia today, but sizable minority just joined up with the Nazis. Did you know that? That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Authorities exploited Estonia for their war effort, murdered tens of thousands of people. Wow. That's just crazy. They had a few Nazis helping them out, but for the most part, there was a scorched earth, even though the Estonians, the Finland, and Hungarians were considered honorary Aryans. Randy and I talked to a man from Finland last night, Vaara, Vaara, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Here's Finland, where Vaara was. He was up here. I just wanted to, I mean, look at all of these. I mean, we've studied a ton of maps, and we know when they highlight a castle in red, it's a big deal. I'm saying Estonia was a big deal. Look at that. Was there any place that didn't have a major castle? This is a
Looks like
country
a
that's
lot of kingdoms.
that's a country that's begging for, I might even do it. I got a busy day planned, but thankfully I buckled down and did most of my homework last night. So I was happy that I finished 2 out of my 3 big projects to, stay ahead and, just try to, well, I'm trying to get 100%. I want to get an A plus. Is that another picture? Same one. We're almost finished. Stab in the back myth is what people is part of the whole deal, but it very well could be true, because I think the Germans got stabbed in the back in World War I and sold that everything will be okay because you'll be able to merge with the United States and your leaders will be set up, whether it's in Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, you're going to be okay. And they did their thing. And the stab in the back myth is also in play in China when, Mao Zedong ended up in charge as a communist, and the big 4 went down to the big 3, and Chiang Kai-shek ended up after World War II fighting Mao Zedong by himself and being driven onto the island of Formosa, known today as Taiwan. And we can all trace it back to, it's like our version of the Indian Reorganization Act. So let's just move on and, forget that we include Hawaii and Alaska and everything else, adding up right until the.
Yeah, I think you'll overlook, the money cartel creation as well.
Yeah, we only have so much time.
But it's significant.
Yeah. So there we go again. We merged with the Operation Paperclip, the 1958. It was still going on. And
Antarctic Treaty.
Again, I haven't pulled this up in a long time. So let's remind everybody in closing. Let's see, was there one more? Nope, that would have been it. This would have been the last tab. So what we'll do is go to a bookmark, pull up this United States Statute 72 from the United States 1958 National Defense Education Act. This is the same act that founded DARPA and NASA in 1958. And I always have the hardest time, because I don't go over it enough, remembering what title it's under for the use of funds, because it comes down to you don't get no money unless you swear that there's never been a takeover of the United States and everything is okay, which just seems crazy.
Hunky dory.
National Science Foundation shall establish Science Information Service. Like I said, this is NASA, this is DARPA, this is how everything got paid for. Miscellaneous provisions. Oh man.
Yeah, compartmentalized.
But it's all about the money. I think I'm closing in on it now.
Yeah, it would include that for sure.
Anything being appropriated for the purpose of assisting the states. I had it cut out and saved, changed computer, so yeah, I missed it. Let's do it the old-fashioned way, and this might be a good object lesson on how rabbit trails can sometimes. Can you not do a word search on the PDF? Well, anyway, you had to swear an affidavit. I'm not going to keep looking for it forever, but anything we forgot or we should add before we move forward? Give
Well,
them
yeah,
the rest.
no, not that it's important. Yeah,
Oh, here it is too, Randy.
the weather last night here in central Wisconsin didn't allow me to view the full moon, but so what? I know it was up there.
Yeah, I was, I might have seen it, but I didn't take note. It was full last night, huh? So here's
According to my
that
calendar.
proof that something happened in the same national defense education bill of how they were going to go forward. No money, no agent, any agency you can see under E, federal government shall exercise functions under any other law in such manner as will assist in carrying out the objectives of this act. No part of any funds appropriated or otherwise made available for expenditure under authority of this act shall be used to make payment or loan to any individual unless such individual, one, has executed and filed with the commissioner an affidavit that he does not believe in and is not a member of and does not support any organization that believes in or teaches the overthrow of the United States government by force or violence or by any illegal or unconstitutional method, and two, has taken and subscribed to an oath or affirmation in the following form. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the United States of America and will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States against all its enemies, foreign and domestic, or they'll kill you, Randy.
So when are they going to begin doing that? Following the Constitution?
Something happened in the United States in 1958, and you had to swear.
No law? Yeah. What's no law shall be made? What does that mean? Anything?
That is going to
Not anymore.
contradict that if you don't agree that we're not taking over and it's business as usual, you don't get paid. Who's going to say no? I guess one representative, one person said, I'm out of here. I got enough money. I'll just see you guys later. Have fun with your taking over the world.
Yeah.
You ever seen
In their
that movie?
face, yeah.
That movie, the Princess Bride, Randy, where the famous actor tells the other actors, "Have fun storming the castle, boys."
Yeah. Yeah, I used to watch that one quite a bit when our daughters were young.
Sure, because it's so it's clever. Hey, did you see that?
And now we're living like idiocracy, but yeah, movies.
Not as much risky clothes and stuff.
Right.
Some cussing in that movie, I think. Here, the
Yeah,
District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871. Is that what they meant? Is that also the Act of 71? Is that the same thing? One of the comments I forget said I should look it up. Hey, look, here's that. Yeah, see, the Washington, they planned it. You know, they all of this stuff was, you know, if people want to think, oh, you're seeing things in the architecture. No, we're not. No, you know,
That's
no,
where
we're
the
not.
Virginia land was given back. Right.
That's just a picture there.
But when it was that,
The seal of the District of Columbia features the date 1871, but I know that George Washington was a president in Philadelphia, but I thought they got it built pretty early on. The act is the basis of several claims held by the sovereign citizen movement. According to these, the act made the district and consequently the whole United States into a business corporation. This must be what she was talking about, or he was talking about. The claims stem from the term municipal corporation used in the act. There are many kinds of corporations. You know, corporations can be considered a person, Randy.
yes, I was aware of that detail.
QAnon supporters falsely claimed that former President Trump would be sworn in as the 19th president of the original United States on March 4th, 2021. I remember that didn't happen. There were a lot of sad people. A municipal corporation is the legal term for a local governing body, but not necessarily limited to cities, towns, countries, villages, boroughs, chartered towns. The term can also be used to describe municipally owned corporations. Okay. So if your town wants to invest in Microsoft and ends up taking it over, I guess everybody in your town is rich. Well, Randy, I got a busy day, man. We've been going here about an hour and a half. It's Sunday morning. I was afraid I was going to get triggered by some of those comments. I know I don't go over my comments as much as most people want me to, but there's people try to trigger me on purpose, you know, like don't I know the difference between the Torah and the Talmud, and you know, that's, you know, those are the same people who want to emulate the people who could look God in the flesh, in the eye, and have Pharisees and Sadducees, scribes and lawyers tell Jesus Christ, you're feeding people and you're healing people, but you just don't understand the scripture and the Sabbath. Okay, I'm on Jesus' side every time in those arguments. and afterwards, I'm not for people, you know, I'm a theological teacher. And when people come at me like the Pharisees and scribes telling me, you obviously don't understand the Sabbath, I'm going like, I'm on the side of Jesus. I think it's you guys.
And they obviously don't understand the times they're living in.
They don't understand the ground they're standing on, and
they know not what they do.
Yeah. Any final words before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just have a safe week. This week will take us into another month, a whole nother moon cycle. Yeah.
Yep. The year 2023 is almost over, and I'm afraid it's only going to get worse. So we'll see. Thank you, Sky, Sage, Roliar, Sintback 77, Luther, some others who commented. Randy, would you like to close us with the Lord's Prayer? And if you have anything else to say,
one more comment. You know, this next month begins with All Saints Day, and I'm sure we know what happens the day before or the night before, whether it's attacking 95 Theses, you know. Yeah, it's a history that to be familiar with, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So we should all be, praying. And Randy's going to give us an example of how the Lord taught his disciples to pray.
Yeah, and it's about what motivates you and what your intentions are. So, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Alan saying goodbye for myself and Randy, reminding you as you seek the truth as a truther, put it all through the filter of the Bible. This is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past, and mudblood was definitely Armageddon. I'm never going to tell you anything else, and neither are my friends. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho, aloha, arrivederci, and adios.